All right, looking at the game 2 draft, we saw Senna and Tom Kench completely crush it in that game, especially with that ill-fated invade, right? You absolutely need to make it work if you do it again. So going into this game, we expected that there might be a Senna or a Tom Kench ban to make sure that that's off the table, but I'm sure that BLG is saying, hey, no, we'll leave it up, and we have a plan against it if it comes down to that. Ends up with a Renata, Azir Rumble ban combination into Maokai, Rakan, and Nico. And this is the second time that we've seen a Rakan ban in the second game of a series being led off with Xayah in blue 1. Xayah, in and of itself, is not strong enough to just be a blue 1 pick. The whole point is to pick Xayah blue 1 because of the threat of Rakan. And the fact that the threat of Rakan means that red team will pick Rakan, you can actually give yourself an extra set of power picks because they're going for Rakan. That's off the table. So you don't need to pick Xayah blue 1. She's not that good. This is missed analysis of the stats, right? Yeah, you see that Xayah is winning 29 out of 38 games and you're like, holy moly, we have to pick Xayah. She must be the best champion. No, it's the draft wins coming from other lanes when you're getting extra pick OPs, because when you take Xayah in blue 1, you threaten Rakan, they take away Rakan, therefore giving you another power pick, whether or not it's Orianna, Jarvan, Maokai, or Rumble being the big one. In this game, Rumble's already gone, right? Nico, Rakan's gone. There's no threat. So when you go for Xayah first, you necessarily give them what they want. They get Orianna, Jarvan for themselves. All right, and you try to reply with Syndra, Jax. Jax is very good. Jax is strong enough and is certainly happy to pick Jax, especially when this guy came up as a Jax main player. Rumble's gone, so you're already down a tier. Now they get the counter pick. They opt to get the Gragas. So this already, the opening stage is very, very strong for T1. Then when you go into the next phase, Sejuani and Blitzcrank being pinched, saying we don't want you to have the steadiness of these combinations. Plus, when you have a Jax up in the top lane, Sejuani becomes a huge problem for the enemy team. You already have your Jarvan, and we don't want you to have Blitzcrank to be able to peel around and actually create fights for the Syndra, etc., etc. Caitlyn and Kaisa being matched here as well, taking those away from Guma, means that we take Jinx. You're super happy taking your AD carry first in red 4. You never want to take your support. You always want to get the counter pick from the support. It's very rare that you have a carry that you want to counter pick with. It's met with Alistar Vi, right? The intention is now very clear. We want to use Syndra Scatter the Weak into a Vi or Alistar Engage, something to hold people down. Tom Kench becomes the very natural answer. So even without Senna, they're super happy picking this combination. They could have even considered a red 4 Tom Kench here, and could have played for the Senna, right? Knowing with what's available, but perhaps being afraid of the Alistar, saying it's a little bit too easy for them to find and lock down the Senna if we get in those situations. But it was available, right? They easily could have taken Tom Kench. You would always take Tom Kench there, by the way, just in case for whatever weird reason they end up taking the Senna away. You're still happy taking other picks, whereas if you take Senna, they could just take Tom Kench and pair it with the Xayah. And now suddenly you're like, what am I doing? Am I doing Senna Tarek? I've got Senna Jarvan. I could move that over. We talked about that in game 1, but those are not realistic possibilities for this game. So anyways, another awesome draft from T1. We'll see how it plays out. All right, Hextech Dragon means we will not have a Hextech Soul. That will devalue the dragons. You will go for the dragons when you have the prio, when you're feeling good, you have the lead. But it is not necessarily the part that wins the game. You know, T1, first and foremost, more than any other team in the entire world, puts priority on Baron. That's why we do. Copying Faker, can't go wrong. But stay tuned to make sure to smash that like and subscribe notifications on so that you can figure out if we figure something out that Faker should be doing next, or people can do good to beat Faker. You'll find out about it here first. Going to be super intriguing to watch this Gragas Jax matchup. Basically, every time that Jax tries to queue in, Gragas will answer with his E, okay? That puts enough space between you because of the bop. The collision moves you apart, and then you won't ever connect with your counter-strike. So Gragas is very happy to play in this. You will give up some amount of CS over time. Gragas also not nearly as strong as he had been. They did take away a lot of his kit for being able to just sustain and trade back. And they made the trade window, I want to say, up to 12 seconds from 8, where he used to have his passive every 8 seconds. to heal up after casting a spell. Now it's 12. So a couple matchups where that makes a difference. In the Jax matchup, not really, because it's still up in time for Counter-Strike. That's all you care, right? Jax is strong when he has Counter-Strike. Gragas can get it back every 12 seconds. 12 seconds, less than Counter-Strike, we're good. We'll just take this to the bank. Every time you go in, we belly bop, we get our one hit. And then we got our hit if we want. Not even necessarily needing to go for it. But Gragas can be pushed in, doesn't have enough push prio until about level 5. Really level 7, once he has 4 ranks in the queue, is when he can start pushing the waves. We'll see whether or not we end up with a Night Harvester style build, or whether or not we go for full tank up in this top lane. Kench getting a lot of meaningful poke out here, saying, yeah, Alistar, what you gonna do about it? In this Alistar matchup, you can basically never jump in as the Tahm Kench, but you can jump on top of Alistar when he jumps on your Jinx, right? You basically have a guaranteed hit. You know exactly where their positioning is going to be, and that will always give Jinx the window to drop the traps down, let them arm. So that's something you can do as a pairing for these two. You can also, as the game goes on, starting at level 6, you can start gobbling somebody up, and then Jinx can throw out the traps. You do a little half count. One misses it, and then you split them out. You can throw them right on top of the traps, and that will guarantee you able to get the stun off as well from the Q. So a lot of synergy with this combination too. Tahm Kench, Caitlyn also being very strong. But Tahm Kench, after that point, once we get out of lane phase and we have any amount of risk of other people jumping on, it's going to be a peel bot. Faker, nice use of the E. Using your shield, right? Not only is it giving you the shield to make sure the continuation damage doesn't land, but it's also giving you those extra resistances. Orianna has some of the lowest base resistances in the game, and it's because she has all of them attached to the ball, right? Ends up getting punished right there. Good angle by Jun to get into that. Owner knowing that he can feel pretty strong here, but he does overstep. The cooldowns are back up from Syndra, so you have to be very, very careful. Now, this is actually a potential trap right here. You see how I'm smiting? Jun actually smiting the cannon there to help Syndra get the push, to make sure that she can get a good recall off, and able to give themselves some space. So an early lead here for BLG. Very nicely done for them. Orianna coming back had the option of stepping ahead of the wave, but then you have to be very, very careful because you teleported first. So if you use, let's say you use half your resources or even 30% of your resources to hold that freeze, then Syndra's going to be super happy when she does finally get her recall in. Not only does she have a kill, so she has a better shop than you, period, but now also she'll be happy that, hey, I'm teleporting back and the Orianna is already down to 70% on both their resources, and Syndra will be able to dominate from that point on. Also, Ori really, really wants these waves to bounce out so she can fast push the next wave, right? The minions will give her a little bit of threat as she moves the wave up, but because we have this early boots and crystal, it means that she's nowhere near the normal Merc Treads that you try to get against Syndra. So we are going to have a window where Syndra could go for an all-in here at level 6 the moment she hits it. Should be coming up soon. She did get a fairly clean back off. Nice stun there by Jax. Bin playing at the edge. Zeus trying to get that bop in response, trying to guess when the Q is coming out. Bin ends up spacing it and stepping back to clap him with the E in range and figure. This is a huge misplay. He's going for 6, saying I'm gonna try to ult the wave, but pressing into Yagao's threat range, that doesn't make sense at all. That's a rare miss by Faker. All right, so now we're talking about snowball potential. 2 kills. Syndra will have options for going for plate. There's no way Jarvan's going to contest here. We're also going to have Hextech being taken by the Vi. You see that the wave is positive, means Vi is very happy to take this on her own. Syndra's going to come over and help, try to farm some extra splinters if there's any contestation. And Vi just very strong at killing these in general with the denting blows. Passive, you see how everyone works together, right? Syndra pushes, bot lane pushes, they crash their double stacked wave while Vi goes for the jungle, goes for the dragon. Everyone moves over. It does mean that you lose your tempo, right? You're using your tempo to cover for the dragon. That can be a loss at times. But in this position where Syndra is just that strong, she's going to feel really good about it. Now check this out. We've actually got Lucid Boots saying, I'm going to be playing far enough back in the fight. We're playing disengage, disengage, and playing for a Jinx hard carry this game that I'd rather just have the extra shields available. I'm not going for Merc Dreads because then I'm going to get too much damage coming in from these guys. And the fact that, you know, this isn't a Sejuani. This is a Vi. Has 2 knockups. Alistar, 2 knockups. Right? You're not preventing that much. Oh, the Bomba. Zeus, nice. Getting the stacked Q right there, and then ulting Jax into him. Has to be very careful, though. Bin knows he's stronger right here. Empowered auto attack. You just did the Bomba. You've got no more spells on cooldown. What are you doing? Okay, a couple big missteps. Look at this first one. Look at the spacing. Step back and land the E. Is able to come in auto and auto reset with the W to get that extra damage in. Now, this is where I'm super surprised, right? I thought what he was going to do was step up and ult the wave earlier. And that was his entire purpose of even trying to rebound this wave. We said he wants to get the push with these minions, get the 6, pop it, push the wave like that. Instead, he waits around long enough. Syndra's 6. Vi doesn't even need to be there. Syndra would have been fine to clean that fight up. 45 stacks from Syndra means Q is evolved. We're 5 away from the W. Scatter of the Week will be at 60, and then we'll have the ultimate at 100. Jax 2-0, Syndra 2-0. Looks like T1 might actually bite it, just getting outlaned right now. Something that normally does not happen to them. Jarvan, the 1 point of potential strength for them. I mean, Jinx has a little bit of a CS lead for herself as well. Tahm Kench is going to be a very nice peeling option, but it's going to be very difficult to actually find the fight here. And plus we have some dyssynergy between Gragas, Jarvan, and Orianna, right? This ultimate is very much kind of disengage or catch. You might be able to catch one, but this is meant to be grouped up together. This is doing the opposite. So we'll see whether or not that becomes a problem for them. All right, they get the ultimate. They're happy with that. Jarvan trading his for hers. Still has flash available, so Elk will still be fairly comfortable stepping up right here, but not while Alistar's gone. 9 minutes in, Herald's already in the pocket of the Vi. So Vi comes back, gets even with Jarvan on resources. Should also be looking to push that in. I'd like to see it down in the bot wave. You want to get Xayah into the mid wave as soon as possible. You want to go over here, bash this down if you can. Although, you know, based on the 2-0 lead and the fact that we don't even have a Merc Dreads here from Orianna, means that we might just see this pushed in mid, and they might try to go for a kill here, right? Both ultimates are available. They might feel very strong to go for an all-in, especially if it's right before the dragon spawning. If you're T1, your way back into this game, kind of difficult. Obviously, a big wombo here will be nice. If you can catch Vi or Alistar stepping too far forward and you're able to get a good Cataclysm plus Shockwave combo will be very nice. Especially if they're trying to get onto Jinx and Tahm Kench is able to devour and send her to safety. That is your big window back in this game. You're down 2k, you're about to be down more. This Herald is actually popped pretty early. I'm surprised that he goes for it right now. Must be thinking that Mythic is in base. But it looks like she's kind of shy of it anyways. Also only getting 1 plate, not even getting the chip damage. No, they just do it for prio to get into the river. So Syndra and Vi together are trying to create a web of vision here. You see that we already have some wards down. Look at all these control wards. 7 wards already down in the eastern quadrant, plus the Scuttle Shrine, meaning that BLG absolutely has the prerogative to take this dragon. Jarvan is hiding just outside of vision. They're going to go step up for this. Little Jinx trick right there. Anytime you swap guns, always anticipate that you have to use 2 shots. All right. But if you swap into the cannon, then you always have to go for 1, 2. But then you can respond to the second auto attack with your Q right there. You can use Q after the second auto. The animation sort of starts. You hear the pop. Then you can swap Qs to go into minigun. And it's almost like you never miss that frame. And it feels like you get 2 attacks off. Bang, bang, instantaneously. And then you can start using minigun. You stack up your attack speed so that when you swap over for the rocket, you can get that extra fast first shot off. But again, if you swap over to rocket, make sure that you're willing to take 2 shots. Because otherwise you will not get a chance to go back into mini. All right, somehow BLG did not use their prio to get that dragon. They stepped back. Syndra's actually muscled back in from mid, probably going to use their teleport, but temporarily giving up the vantage points here in the river. So they're walking into Fog of War, and the Jinx traps are down. So this is a particularly tricky fight. Based on how big their lead was, they should not have given up this momentum. Tahm Kench saving Gumayusi from the engage, exactly how we said it would happen. And BLG throws away their lead by walking out and back into the fog. This is unacceptable macro. If you're playing at this level, you just spent the past 90 seconds before that working in. You gave up all your momentum in both of these lanes to turn it into deep vision in the Eastern Quadrant. That has to turn into a dragon. If that's what you're investing in. We saw 7 wards. Instead, they just stall for a minute. They work their way out. T1 comes in. And then they have superior vision, right? Like this ward, nice little tucked in. This was meant to be a defensive ward. Look how they jump in. Alistar trying to go for the flash, pulverize into the headbutt back to the team. Keria just picks up Gumayusi, full health, never even gets a target presented to Yagao on Syndra. And they clean the fight up. Beautifully done. Good job by T1, but big fumble by BLG. You should not have let them in. You came in, you got all the vision, you closed the door, you tucked your ward. This ward right here was meant to be super defensive. It's just like the minimal ward that you can get from a safe position going over this wall. And you just tuck it in there because it's very rare that it gets swept. You know, people moving this way, people moving this way. Neither of them will see it because it's not inside the sweeping lens radius. Nice little synergy there right there. Shockwave into the puddle jump from Tahm Kench. And suddenly all the momentum is in their favor. Staggering death timers. Alistar is going to be a liability now. Down with 2 deaths, going to be way, way behind on resources. Probably going to be level 7 versus everyone else being at least 9. Now, Rift Herald. Can BLG pick themselves up from this situation? You still have the pushing advantage here. Orianna ends up going for Crown of the Shattered Queen. Wants to play against the Syndra like this. Interesting play here. You're putting all your eggs into Keria. Keria actually had a moment there. He could have cast his E to get a little bit of a shield off. Ends up biting the dust quickly, but hold on. They're going forward. Zeus with Everfrost. Neat little trick for the Gragas. Hold people in place. Allows you to get more Bombas off. Picks up a couple of these. Wow. Nice job. Picking up 6 of the little Krugs. That's a big prize for yourself. The fact that you were 1v3 and you got 84 gold worth of the Krug camp for yourself, that's a pretty big deal. UE missing right here. You see On just the line of scrimmage, right? Your team sliding backwards on the other side of that, so On finds himself on the wrong side of that wall. I like that they go proactive on the plays here. Go up front for the damage. They know about him? They must have. All right, screen and stream. We're starting to set up for the Herald. Notice that they've got everybody here, which means Bin either has to commit to this teleport or commit to the turret. It looks like the call is get Bin ahead. He's 2-0. He's got Divine Sunder and Merc Treads. If he's your source of carrying, then go for it. I have to say I hate this build. It keeps showing up, and I swear that this is the reason that Syndra is not doing well. In Pro, it is so hard to find the synergy for your QEs. You basically can't cast E ever because you always have to have it up and available to start setting up some amount of damage, right? And sometimes you're even looking for R into E so that you can get AoE on the stun. Very difficult champion, and I know that they go Liandry's so that they get more attempts at doing it, and very importantly, you get to throw spells into the tank line. I understand that that's what they're going for, but it's just not meaningful damage if it's not with Ludens. Now, this game, more than most, you are going to have HP stacking right here and right here. So it's probably going to carry more value in this game than most. But I don't know. I'm such a big fan of Ludens. You need it to hurt. If your entire kit predicates on you going Q and then pushing it with the E, maybe throwing it over the wall to get the extended range, and then casting your ultimate and having someone else jump in to kill somebody. If you're saying that your QE needs to be lethal, then it needs to be lethal. Liandry's is saying, hey, we're going to throw out a bunch of these. but then you're gating yourself to this E cooldown, which I think at that point late game you're talking about like 6 seconds. It's just there's enough time and it's predicated enough, it's predictable. You're just gonna, there's only certain angles you can take. These teams have seen Syndra in play for years right now. I mean, Syndra is what, like 9 years old now? She's been a mainstay on the world stage, and these teams have gotten good at playing around her, playing against her. You're trying to set up one combo, it had better be lethal. That's my take on it. Anyways, they end up giving up the Herald, stepping back for the fight. It means that Bin's feeling very, very strong here. He's got the 2-0 KDA, plus he got that extra turret in the bot lane, means he's got that extra gold. Did not get any plates attached to it. But it's not really that much, right? And ever since the changes to these outer turrets, right, there's just not enough local gold to care about your split push or taking it. You care about this one, but again, it's largely loaded into the team gold. Dedicating someone to a split push, you almost don't want it to be your strongest person. You'd rather have your strongest person near the fight, gaining the ancillary global gold that comes from that push. I really don't like that they had that much of a lead and they opted to not fight it, right? Saying, hey, yeah, you can have Herald. We can give something back. And this is what we were talking about at the beginning of the last video. Elk has been the best carry player, right? Ruler's been super solid. Guma's been great. Pays has been great. But Elk has been playing out another level. When he's at that level, he has the highest ceiling out of all the champions. Hold on. Almost flashes to reposition himself there. It's a little caster cursed. But if I'm scouting, I'm actually taking... I want to take resources away from Elk and rather give them to Bin. Like, yes, he's on his favorite champion. Yes, he might be one of the best players in the entire tournament, but AD carries are still AD carries, and you're going to have to play front to back at some point. And game after game, in the losses, we've seen BLG over push and be a little bit late to consolidate for the fight. And it's just the environment for split pushing is so far removed. When we're getting that upfront damage, you see this beautiful done by Carrier, flashing into position to get there, spits him out, has the big shield. Multiple shields coming out means it's very easy to peel for their team. Now only 500 gold in the hole. It's basically all right here. Everywhere else they're winning. Orianna's doing just well. Syndra's still ahead of Orianna, but this is going to be a problem. And specifically, we have Infinity Edge. This item has been overbuffed to the point where Riot basically said, all right, we're going to jack it up one more time, and if it's still not good, we're just going to scrap it. And largely that's where the preseason concept is going to be the end of Mythics. They basically didn't want to deal with the power index and the rations that you can put into different items. They had to take away because they can't have a Mythic be strong enough to fuel a Mythic and then not make it so warping that it's like you either have a good Mythic or you don't for your champion. So they're getting rid of it. Largely because of this item right here, but they overbuffed it. The stats are insane. The crit damage amplifier is insane. She doesn't have the insane steroid that she got in 1320, but she still should be able to carry a game like this. Jarvan, extra attack speed and extra shred. You have the shield from Orianna potentially. You have the ultimate peel. You have Guardian and Font of Life available, and the Devour available from Tahm Kench. Hold on, here we go. Here the threat. See how Carrier is not using the ultimate right here? Eventually, they actually headbutt. He goes for a headbutt pulverize onto Carrier, saying, hey, we can distract them enough for this. Jinx is going to get excited. That's going to be the end of the fight here. Spaces around the Jax. Fantastically done. Tons of damage up front. Does not have the ultimate anymore. Used it at the front to get excited to start. Carrier spacing. Look at this formation. Beautifully done. There was a scary moment where we got separated. The Carrier, the Tahm Kench and the Jinx getting separated, but Jinx getting that ultimate in the backline means she was able to rip through the rest of the fight. They get 2 kills, and T1 just a master of positioning in these fights. Take a look at this fight. All right, so we see our line of scrimmage. Look at the positions, all right? Zeus, Gragas, Tahm Kench, boom, up front. You've got Owner on top of Guma. This is not perfect. You'd like to have Jarvan like right here. Tahm Kench preferably being just to the side right here. Sometimes you can have Tahm Kench playing as when it's the Senna Kench. You can have them being further forward. They can be a bigger meat tank to go up, but as Tahm Kench as a support, you're basically always staying close enough to be able to peel for Guma. QE lands. They try to do it with Vi, but unfortunately the Vi range matches the QE range from Syndra, and she actually pops them out, gets out far enough. Now this was another slight miss. I know what Vi's doing. You're trying to use your unstoppable force, right? You're saying, I'm threatening Guma. Surely Tahm Kench is going to devour the Jinx right now. And when we devour, then Alistar can knock them both into our lap and go from there. The problem is, by going this way, and the fact that Keria held onto that R button, and I promise you, they literally are sitting with their finger on the R key and the mouse over Guma, just ready to do it, right? One click this direction, ready to pick them up. Vi is trying to get far enough where she can get 3 knockups and still deliver onto this side so that they can have threat in multiple different spots. If Keria devours here, then this headbutt becomes game winning. But because it doesn't happen, we roll the tape just a little bit right here. No devour being used. Alistar uses the Tahm Kench as a conduit, to get in, to gap close, so that the pulverize can be a little bit stronger going into the fight. Headbutts against the wall, but Guma repositions right here. Now you've got really good battle lines once again. All right, there is a little bit of threat coming on this side, but they already have a ward on their side. They already have this ward. So now playing front to back, Jinx, Orianna, super safe. The one thing that you need to worry about is whether or not this fight outranges them. So if this fight is able to peel down and outrange the carries here, then you have this problem where you may not be able to get the rest of the damage in. Orianna, however, can always outrange her own abilities using the E. They know that there's no flash available from Xayah. Looks like we actually had a completely missed Orianna ultimate where they tried to use the ult, but owner flashed to reposition it to the side. But we still end up with enough damage here from Jinx. Jinx has worked her way, flashed over this wall to get to safety, comes all the way back over to reposition for the fight. Knows that they don't have the support, nor do they want to be in a choke here against Syndra. Look at all these balls right here. All it takes is one scatter of the week to just stun everybody who's in this corridor. Jinx opts to get more space for themselves. Gets a little bit of extra chunk damage out. And then you get the turret, the rest of the team pushes up. So beautiful fight right there. You see what BLG was trying to do. Unfortunately, you needed to force Keria to use the Devour on Tahm Kench. If they had done that, if I had targeted Gumayusi, Jinx, then Tahm Kench would have had to Devour and then a headbutt flash pulverize to keep them in place right over there. Would have put the entire team, or would have put Keria into the lap of the entire team. You would have had continuation. You would have had spells coming up. The only problem would have been what's left, right? You've used your Q, your R. You've used Scatter the Weak. You've used Headbutt Flash Pulverize here. Now you're talking about the only sources of damage being, or route to hold someone down, the drawback here and Bin's Counter-Strike. So you use that many resources to try to get that pick. One button can make it such a headache for you. The Tahm Kench pick is just showing up for this game plan. Then hey, we'll just keep Jinx alive. We got shields. We got shields for days. Gold lead finally going over to T1. Wards in front of Baron. They're preparing themselves. Still can't feel super strong about it, but they have to like their chances with the 4 kills on Jinx. She is in a position to carry. Xayah can't even match the waves right here. Down by Azeel is a big difference, meaning also that Jinx can go in for poke and trade one-sided. She can get attacks off without ever presenting a target to the Xayah. She also outranges her, right? So Xayah basically stuck on wave clear duty, using Q, auto, and E to rip the lane apart. We've seen Navori Quickblades. We haven't seen Essence Reaver yet from Xayah. Basically ever since the change to the Sheen procs and how they're assessed, we've seen it be a much less popular item. That said, it does keep you at full mana on a champion that sometimes has some problems with mana issues. And it also gives you like a little bit of upfront damage burst. it is a spellcasting carry. I still like Essence Reaver a lot, but they basically skip it to go for Lord Doms every single time. They don't go longer than 3 items. Sometimes you'll see a rapid fire cannon so that they can get that first feather flying in time. Now, BLG's one real source of strength is going to be the Jax on the split push, and you see that they're actually doubling down. They're going Hullbreaker. One of the first Hullbreakers we've seen in the tournament. Saying this is our only win condition. You guys picked Gragas. We're just going to win through the side lanes. There's zero chance that Gragas can stop me. But that said, this build with good defensive itemization, Everfrost, you can peel yourself once with an E, another time with Everfrost. Then you have another E available. Then you have Zhonya's. Then you have another E available. So you can peel yourself 5 times versus this Jax, meaning it's going to be very hard for him to actually get this cycle in where he can actually create threat. What he is going to do with the Hullbreaker, though, is say, hey, you're a mage. Good luck clearing the wave now, right? I'm going to have the empowered cannons. We're going to have the extra resistances. How are you ever actually going to push back against me? Uma, big chunk. Ultimate counters the ultimate. Tahm Kench swallows, make sure that Syndra is not able to pop Jinx. Jinx is very quickly going to get this reset. Will have flash available for the next fight. Crown of the Shattered Queen paying dividends right here on Orianna. Love this item on this champion. Like we said, it's about the shields. You need to survive in fights. You need to be this almost support control mage, right? You want to be in these fights. You cannot put yourself in a situation in side lanes where you're getting beat up. Crown of the Shattered Queen solves that. It makes sure that there's no chunk damage that can ever be meaningful against you. You have that 4 seconds of 40% mitigation. Even if you get hit by a flash ultimate from Vi, Scatter the Weak here, you'll have that defense up long enough to keep yourself alive for those fights. I would have preferred to see it line up with a tier. I hate that we're seeing it with a Void Staff here. The concept behind the Void Staff, by the way, what they're saying is with Void Stuff plus Blasting Wand, you're basically gaining enough AP to be similar to a Rabadon's. The problem is then the rest of the scaling for the rest of the build gets worse. Plus, what are you actually building with Blasting Wand? Nothing, right? There are very few items after Void Staff to build with the Blasting Wand, so there's not many iterations of it. Beautiful EQ here into the W landing for Tahm Kench. But that's why I think the reasoning for getting this item, it's faulty. I know that's why they're doing it. They're saying this plus Blasting Wand is only 50 gold more than buying Rabadon's, and with 105 AP, that's comparable to the 160. Plus having all the extra damage. But the fact that you're missing out on the big shield amounts tends to be a big problem. I prefer to see Rabadon's every single time here. All right, turning the fight. Wait, was that a Zhonya's? All right, that was a Zhonya's resolving as he was being gobbled up, I think. A little bizarre interaction there. He shouldn't be able to get both of those. I wonder if they'll call that back. To see this fight again in slow motion. Vi trying everything to get into range. Scatter the Weak, trying to deal some damage onto Jarvan, but Jarvan's super tanky. Punish the Alistar, super weak. EQ flash to get on top of Syndra means that you can land the Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench will basically never cast his W unless he has someone to set him up for it. Soon diving forward, ends up flashing backwards to get hit by the R. Then Elk comes in. We see Zun is probably going to try to throw his life away. So there's Zeus. All right, so we have Zhonya's. That is so bizarre. That was just an animation glitch. Probably just a spectator glitch then. Unstoppable, being pulled into the belly of the Tahm Kench. All right, we're preparing for Dragon. Let's look at the formation and look at the battle lines. We have T1 with the Baron. They got that off the back of the last fight. They also have 3 dragons for themselves. They are not willing to punt this game to try to go for just 1 set of damage. Look at that beautiful E, though, from Orianna. Even though you get Headbutt, Pulverize, and Scatter the Weak from Syndra, you're still at full health. That is the value of your shields plus Crown of the Shattered Queen. Alistar finds himself super deep. Owner being aggressive, always countering the aggression with your own aggression means Jinx gets 2 kills to lead off the fight. Beautifully done. Elk's going to be between a rock and a hard place. No way out right here. Going to try to find an angle potentially for himself, but the team's going to get wiped. Owner even trying to pass that over, it looks like. But they get a clean fight. You put all your resources into bin, he put all of his resources into a hull breaker, and you have no side lane pressure to show for it. BLG just getting overrun in these fights. The fact that they can never get onto the main carries here. You have Orianna and Jinx just hard carrying this game. Right, you saw Headbutt, Pulverize, plus Scout of the Week all hit the Orianna amidst one shield. And the fact that one shield plus Crown was enough to mitigate literally all of it. She didn't take damage. She came out of that with 98% health. So a big gap there. How are you going to get through it? You basically can't go after the Crown of the Shattered Queen. You got to drop that shield first. But this is already committed. Look how the peel on the side. You lose your stats right here. You're too close to your team. Alistar trying to engage. The moment that he goes forward, you see Jarvan going forward for himself. That is usually the best answer to Alistar. Alistar goes forward. You say, okay, I respond. I cut off your carries. They can't continue any damage. Then we go ahead and kill the Alistar because he's on 1 item and I'm a jungler and I'm on 2.5. So I'm feeling much tankier than your support. Been trying his best to use Counter-Strike to stay alive. We're going to see flash forward from Keria into EQ. Beautiful damage. We get one more spell. Maybe even a Shockwave into... No, Shockwave is down. I would love to see a puddle jump right here, a lily pad combo where Orianna says everybody jump on the lily pad and then suck them all in and then Tahm Kench land on top of them. May not get that. We already saw it once. It's a treat. Zhonya's in tow here for Orianna. She's going to teleport back into the fight. Shielding, right? Zoning. She knows that she's got Crown of the Shattered Queen plus these huge shields. All right, we have Flash Engage. The Pulverize, or sorry, the Headbutt doesn't quite go far enough. And again, she just tanks up with Crown of the Shattered Queen. Take that to your solo queue games. You are the untouchable Orianna. Clean finish. Awesome team fighting. Watching T1 just maneuver their way around the battlefield. Great job by all of the elements, especially the ancillary, the supporting cast, right? Zeus playing well. Just Keria playing out of his mind. This whole crew is looking really strong. T1 makes it through. They're into the knockouts. That means BLG is going to be playing tomorrow for their lives, do or die. We'll see you guys there. Thanks again for the support. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.